So that you will understand why we are telling you to make sure you're here on the 29th. Mufasa himself.
My president is Kenyan, but he cannot tell my story. Like when I was 15 years old, my mother bought a sofa set from her friend. Her friend had bought a new one, and now the old one was taking too much space. When the new old seats occupied our house, we could not believe it. We sang praises to my mother for a warrior who had slaughtered a dragon. I thought this was what the president meant when he said the economy is growing. 3 months later, we learned my mother had not finished paying for the seats. Wasn't even halfway there. We watched men come into our house on a February, lift our seats and march away with our dignity. My mother's friend did not care enough to leave us with our ego to sit on. That year, I missed so much of school, I started to hate math. I hated how everything was adding up. I hated the fact that outside our house, the economy was growing. My president is Kenyan, okay? But he cannot tell my story. Like a few weeks before my mother's close friend passed on, they were seated in a car worrying about their blood pressure, worrying that death might be around the corner or at the back of the car. My mother's friend asked my mother not to die first, asked my mother to let her die first, asked my mother to take care of her children if she died first. That's the real story of Kenyans out there. Children are to die for, and parents are working to death for their children. But single mothers are afraid to die. Single fathers are afraid to die. They're not afraid of how they will die. They're afraid if they die, they will leave their children with nothing. Children with nothing are begging on our streets every day. Children with nothing grow up to become grown men with nothing. Grown men with nothing but a knife will stab you for nothing, for a phone, for the tiniest bulge in your pocket. Our GDP don't mean nothing to children with nothing. Or is it children with nothing mean nothing to our GDP? My president is Kenyan, but he cannot tell my story. I hear he is a good man. He is warm with laughter, invites artists to the State House, takes photos with children. It's a beautiful thing. It's good for his image. Mothers who lose their children to cancer because of delayed chemo at Kenyatta care about image too. They want to clean their babies' bodies and bury them beautiful too. Yesterday, I had a stranger at a barber shop say if his child dies with a medical bill, he will not sell his tiny piece of land to bring a dead body home. There might be no land left for burial. My president doesn't know. We know in the city, you don't have ancestral land. You just have compound eyes. Use your eyes. I challenge you to look at the people we vote for, how they make it about themselves and their tribes, but not their work. Because if it was about service, I would point it out. They have not been giving, they have been taking. Look at how rich they have become now. How will they care about land policy for the poor when they are clearly about owning more land than a province? Is that how much land they have now? Enough land to land themselves their own country. Don't our parents work so hard to buy a piece of land and sell everything every time a severe illness visits our family? My president is Kenyan, okay, but he cannot tell my story. Every year, about 600 billion shillings is lost through corruption. So tell me, what is a government project if it's not another project to take from? How will we know what 600 billion shillings could do for homeless Kenyans, for landless Kenyans, for girls living in families that not afford sanitary pads in 2019? How will we know what 600 billion shillings could do for about 90% of Kenyan children who don't go to private or international schools? How will we know when you don't even know in the first place why Kenya imports sugar and maize and milk when we have land and our flag says it's green? come to my event on 29th. See you then.